The chill in the air wasn't from the air conditioning. "I'm sorry, but we don't just hand out that kind of cash to anyone," said bank manager Tricia Langston, her tone soaked with disdain as she slid the withdrawal slip back across the counter. Her voice carried easily through the modern, echoing lobby of Iron Trust National, the flagship branch in downtown Raleigh. Around her, a few junior employees clustered together, watching the interaction unfold. One of them leaned toward her colleague and whispered, just loud enough to be heard, "Yeah, right. No way she actually has that kind of money." A few soft chuckles followed, but the woman standing before them, poised, composed, dressed plainly, didn't flinch. Her name was Denise Carter, though none of them recognized it. And in moments, everything about this branch, these staffers, and their careers would change forever. Because Denise Carter wasn't just a customer, she was the new CEO of the bank. 25 years earlier, Denise stood behind a counter just like this one. Her name tag then read, Teller Trainee. She wasn't born into wealth or privilege. She clawed her way up from a two-bedroom apartment in a working-class neighborhood, driven by resilience, focus, and an iron will. Over the next 2 decades, she rose, from teller to mortgage specialist, from assistant branch manager to regional director. Along the way, she earned her MBA from Wharton, was honored in Businessweek's Top 40 Under 40, and became known for turning underperforming branches into top-tier operations. She was, in every measurable way, the future of Iron Trust National. But when the longtime CEO announced his retirement, Denise's ascension wasn't smooth. The board debated behind closed doors. Concerns were raised, not about her qualifications, but about whether their elite clientele would be comfortable with a black woman leading the bank. Despite it all, 3 months ago, Denise Carter became the first black woman to hold the top job at Iron Trust. In her acceptance speech, she said simply, "Every person who walks through our doors deserves to be treated with dignity, professionalism, and care. No exceptions." They applauded politely, but not everyone listened. A pattern emerges. In the months following her promotion, Denise noticed troubling signals in the customer feedback reports. Not in the numbers the PR team circulated, but buried in the fine print. Complaints from minority customers, stories of dismissive service, a growing trend of attrition in specific neighborhoods. One branch in particular kept showing up. The downtown Raleigh location, managed by Tricia Langston, a 16-year veteran with glowing reviews. On paper, her branch was one of the best performing in the region, but data told a different story. Customers of color were leaving. Loan approvals for minority applicants were disproportionately low. Quiet exits, silent frustration. Denise needed answers, so she went undercover. The experiment begins. It was a crisp Tuesday morning. Denise walked through the revolving doors of Iron Trust's downtown branch. She wore a navy sweatshirt, plain jeans, no designer accessories. Her hair was pulled into a neat low bun. She carried a simple handbag. She took a seat in the waiting area, pretending to scroll her phone. Within 20 minutes, the patterns revealed themselves. A white man in a suit was greeted before he even reached the counter and led to a private office. A Latino landscaper in work boots was asked for extra ID. An Asian grandmother waited 40 minutes to open a basic checking account. By the time Denise approached the counter, 3 white customers who arrived after her had already been helped. She approached the teller window with a smile. The teller, name tag reading Mallory, smiled back, but the warmth didn't reach her eyes. "How can I help you?" she asked flatly. "I'd like to make a withdrawal," Denise said, sliding over her ID and a withdrawal slip. Mallory glanced at the slip and froze. $98,000. Mallory's smile vanished completely. "That's a large sum," she said. Her voice lifted just enough to catch the attention of the nearby teller and the supervisor. "Yes," Denise replied calmly. "It's within my account limit." Mallory looked from the ID to Denise, then back again. Moments later, Richard, the senior teller, stepped over. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, not to Mallory, but to Denise. "No problem," Denise said politely. "Just withdrawing funds." Richard narrowed his eyes and snatched up her ID. "These kinds of accounts have had a lot of activity lately," he said, drawing out "these kinds" just enough to make it clear what he meant. Denise said nothing. Mallory, pull up the account history, he ordered. Another staffer, David, leaned over and muttered, not quietly enough. Probably one of those scam withdrawals. Look at her. Denise remained silent. Richard returned the ID, sneering slightly. We're going to need more verification. You understand, right? Security. Denise nodded, still calm. I understand the need for security. I've provided valid ID, my debit card, and this is my account. I'd simply like to make my withdrawal. That's when Tricia Langston arrived. The confrontation she strode over, with the self-importance of someone used to control. Ma'am, she said to Denise, there seems to be an issue. No issue on my end, Denise replied evenly. 98,000 is a lot of cash, Tricia said with a half smile. Mind if I ask what it's for? Yes, I do mind. I'd like to continue my transaction. Tricia's eyes narrowed. This isn't the kind of transaction we see from people like you. The lobby went still. Denise inhaled slowly, met Tricia's gaze, and said, I'd like to speak to someone above your pay grade. Tricia's smile became a sneer. I am the highest authority here. There's no one else for you to talk to. She leaned in and whispered loud enough for all to hear. Maybe the check-cashing place on Glenwood would be more your speed. Laughter, nods. Mallory looked away. David chuckled. That's when Denise pulled out her phone. Yes, this is Denise Carter. I need you at the downtown Raleigh branch. Now. There was a pause. Tricia scoffed. Calling your cousin? Denise didn't answer. 30 minutes later, the double doors swung open with force. In walked Andrea Monahan, Chief Legal Officer of Iron Trust. Behind her, a flurry of board members and top executives. Everyone stop what you're doing, Andrea barked. Step away from the counter. The room froze. Do you have any idea who this is? She said, gesturing to Denise. Tricia blinked. This is your boss, CEO of Iron Trust. The reckoning shock, disbelief, horror. David turned ghost white. Richard looked like he might vomit. Mallory burst into tears. Tricia staggered back. I didn't know, she whispered. And yet you treated her this way, Andrea said. Security camera footage had been reviewed in real time by the executive team. Audio, facial expressions, transaction records, the differential treatment of customers based on race and appearance. This wasn't an isolated mistake, Denise said, stepping forward. Her voice was calm but unshakable. This was a culture, a pattern. She turned to the trio at the counter. Tricia, Richard, David, you're terminated, effective immediately. Gasps. The entire branch watched as they were escorted out. To Mallory, Denise said, your hesitation showed humanity. You'll be placed on probation with mandatory retraining. Your choice what you do with the opportunity. 1 month later, Iron Trust launched the Equity First Initiative, investing $40 million into training, audits, and branch transformation. Staff bonuses were tied to service equity. Anonymous surveys were disaggregated to track systemic issues. A month later, Denise once again walked into the downtown Raleigh branch. This time, no hoodie, no silence. As she greeted customers by name and shook hands with staff, all new hires, one of them asked, Ms. Carter, what made you do it yourself? The disguise, the test? Denise smiled. Because sometimes you have to stand on the other side of the counter to see the truth. And now she was building a future where no one would ever feel invisible again.